Hello everybody, welcome to Zentangle. Today in our brain yoga class, we're going to work on a monotangle. And I would like to show you how to do that pattern, but first let's back up just a little and talk about some supplies that we have. You can use any pen you like, of course, that's handy. We are going to use a Micron 01. They're easily available wherever you shop. At any hobby store. Archival ink is a good quality, and a 01 is a really good size. We also have today our Zentangle pencil. You can use any pencil that you happen to have on hand. Zentangle pencil is a really soft lead pencil, and so it's a real good one for this job. We're also going to use our blender stump for shading, and I'll show you how we do that. I'm going to use my Zentangle tile, which is 3.5 by 3.5. There are several sizes in Zentangle, which is a process invented or copyrighted by Rick and Maria Roberts. So we'll turn whatever piece of paper that you want to work on over. And the first thing I'd like to show you is how we're going to do the pattern Munchin, which is quite an easy pattern to do. Munchin is when you would put several dots in a triangle shape, and we will connect them in whatever random pattern you would like, and then we'll pull through with our pencil or pen, whichever you choose and have handy. You'll notice that one end is getting quite a lot darker than the other end. We can make some interesting shapes with this pattern. So to begin with, Zentangle, because this is a lot of what we call a canvas, and I will ask you to put dots, pencil dots in each corner. And then we'll connect them like a picture frame, wonky style. And don't worry about whether your lines are straight or not. It really doesn't matter. And we will set our blender stump or your finger, or you're welcome to use anything you have on hand. Like you can use a Q-tip or your finger to shade, and I'll show you that at the end. Oh, before we get too far started, this is Munchin. You see how I showed you how the patterns will come together. There's another example of Munchin with a secondary pattern around as a border, which I quite like. And that pattern is actually called Zenith. So we've got our border, and sticking with my pencil for another moment, I'm going to put a series of dots to aim for in the triangle fashion around. Now they're in pencil because pencil can be erased, whereas it's much harder to erase pen. And there's no mistakes in Zentangle. You can work as big or as small as you like. I'm aiming for these 3 dots, and I will connect the bottom in my triangle. And you see it's not really a perfect triangle by a long shot, and that's just fine. That's the beauty of Zentangle. So you see what I'm doing here. I'm starting, and it's quite dark at the top, and it gets quite a bit thinner toward the bottom. And this is totally random order. It doesn't have to be in any particular order. And then I'm going to do this again. I like this one here. So I'm going to connect here. And then I'm going to bring down just this far this time with another triangle. Starting at my tip, and I can start at any of those 3 points. Along. It's always a very good idea to keep your work in front of you. Zentangle is very meditational, peaceful. let's do this again. So I have one here that I quite like. I'm going to use one of my 3 points, this one, or this one, or this one, and I'm going to connect off of it. And this time I'm going to come along here like this. I think the most interesting is to come forward toward this. Take your time, no rush, no hurry. I like how dark the tip is getting on these. I'm going to come over here on this one this time. And smallish one. And I could, again, do any of those 3 corners on this monotangle for interest's sake. But I am looking for interest's sake, so I'm going to come along here, and I'm going to take one out like this, which will not be a triangle, though. I need to be a little careful here. Maybe I'll come off like this instead. That might be more interesting to push in this time. I have my work in front of me. And then maybe I'll use this point and come in here this time. Now that, if I do this way, will be quite boring. So I think I'll push from this one in like this so that it's more interesting. And yet one more here. It'll be kind of a long one. Push in again. I'd like my work to be in front of me, so I'm going to turn this way. And use this point here. My friend, not to work too small. And maybe a little fill in here. I'll use this point here. and push in for interest. What an interesting tile. You've seen on my example how I put a straight border around the edge, and I believe I will do that. And I will just very lightly connect in pen where I did have my pencil before. And I'll have to lift my pen when I go by certain ones that I've already done. And that frame will become part of this. I'm going to go around and double this time. A little bit thick, kind of like a pattern that's called Diva Dance, if you have a chance to look that up. And this has the illusion of being a wood frame, which I quite like. A little bit darker in some areas, lighter in others. Maybe I'll put a knot hole here and there, like that Diva Dance I was telling you about, which is a different Zentangle pattern. Actually, it was not. Don't believe that that is a Zentangle pattern. That was by a different person, and I can't remember her name right now. And completing. Again, I would like to darken in a few areas. I'm working very lightly with my pen here. Letting my pen do the work, just tickling the paper. The last thing, well, one of the last things I'm going to do is take a minute and put my signature somewhere here. Emmy. And let's add a little shading using my pencil. Any pencil will do. I'm going to shade all of the tips. And then I will add just a little bit of shading here as well. Light pencil, a little bit of shading goes a long way. Don't need too much. But it helps to separate these even more. As I mentioned, you can use your finger to spread your shade. And I'll also go around here and create that illusion. And you see I'm being very casual with this and very quick. Now, either my finger or my blender stump, which is just paper. And again, you can find it at any hobby store, a blender stump, or you can certainly get it online. And push, and push, push. Push this in. line is not quite so obvious. And this is my third color, my gray. Looks pretty good. Now, turn my tile over. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed our class today.